Sometimes giving her another chance is just giving her more power to hurt you again. You don't realize it now, but every time you ignore those red flags, your kindness is being weaponized against you. She knows you won't walk away, so she plays you like a game. And if you don't wake up, you'll lose your peace, your purpose, even your future. This isn't just about love. It's about self-respect, your path as a man, and how you show up in life. So if you're tired of being drained, confused, used, keep watching. And comment, never again, if you're done with women taking advantage of your silence. Because today, I'll show you 5 behaviors that if a woman shows even one of them, you must cut her off. No hesitations. Number 1, no respect for boundaries. When she doesn't respect your time, your space, your values, or your principles, it's not confusion. It's a calculated test to see just how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice to keep her in your life. And once you begin sacrificing your peace to maintain the connection, she learns that you'll tolerate disrespect as long as it's dressed up in affection or followed by a few tears or short-lived intimacy, and that right there is where most men lose the grip on themselves, because you're not just allowing bad behavior, you're now enabling it. Have you ever told a woman you needed space, and instead of understanding, she pushed harder, showed up uninvited, flooded your phone with guilt, soaked texts and twisted your request for time to think into an accusation that you don't care? And in those moments, did you stop and ask yourself why her need for control trumps your need for clarity? Because every time she pushes past your boundary and you let it slide, you're not just giving her a pass, you're giving her permission to do it again. And don't get it twisted. It's not about forgetting or being emotionally reactive. It's about power. It's about whether or not you truly live by your principles or if you fold the second they're challenged. And if you're being honest, you've probably told yourself it's not a big deal, that it's easier to just move past it than have the same conversation again. But let me ask you, how many small disrespectful moments have you swallowed until you didn't even recognize your own voice anymore? Because it starts with ignoring the text she sends at 2 a.m. to check on you after you already said goodnight. And then it becomes letting her insult you in front of her friends because she's just playing. And eventually you realize you haven't had a peaceful thought in weeks that wasn't interrupted by some form of chaos she brought into your life. You tell yourself she's just emotional, that maybe if you love her harder, she'll finally slow down and honor your limits. But no amount of love will ever fix a woman who uses your silence as a green light to keep pushing further. And if you're sitting there wondering why you're drained all the time, why your focus is shot, why you can't build momentum in your goals or feel like yourself anymore, it's because every time you say yes to what drains you, you say no to the man you're supposed to be. And no, it's not your job to teach her how to respect you. It's your job to respect yourself enough to leave when she doesn't. And that's where Stoicism comes in, not in being cold or distant, but in choosing reason over emotion, discipline over impulse, and structure over chaos. You set your standard and enforce it, not because you want to hurt her, but because you refuse to betray yourself. And when a woman sees that your boundaries are immovable, not because you're angry, but because you've already decided the kind of life you refuse to live, she will either rise to meet you or she will exit, and both are blessings. But what cannot happen anymore is you betraying yourself to protect someone who treats your time like it's disposable, your values like they're optional, and your life like it's hers to rewrite. Because this ends when you decide your peace is non-negotiable. And the moment you choose to honor your standards no matter who tries to test them, that's the day everything in your life begins to shift. You stop arguing, stop explaining, stop asking for what should be automatic, and start walking like a man who knows that boundaries are not barriers to love but bridges to peace. And if someone cannot respect those boundaries, they don't belong in your life, not because you're punishing them, but because you're finally protecting yourself like your future depends on it. because it does. And if you're ready to reclaim your peace, your clarity, and your power as a man, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint is your next step. A guide crafted with timeless principles that work in real life when you need them most. You've felt the pain of being unheard, disrespected, and emotionally drained. Now imagine walking through your day with complete clarity, knowing exactly how to respond, how to set boundaries, and how to lead your life with calm control, no matter who tries to test you. The audiobook version is now available, so you can listen while you walk, train, drive, or even reflect in silence. And each time you press play, you sharpen your mind and solidify your standards. This isn't something you read once and forget. This is yours for life, a weapon of truth and direction you can return to anytime the world tries to knock you off center. Click the link in the comments and invest in the only relationship blueprint built to serve you, protect your peace, and transform your life. Number 2. Zero accountability. When a woman refuses to take ownership of her actions, when every conversation turns into a courtroom where you're the defendant and she's the eternal victim, when every time you try to address real issues, she flips it back on you until you're second-guessing what you saw, what you felt, and what you experienced, you're not just dealing with denial, you're dealing with someone who rewrites reality to suit her narrative and silence the truth. And the moment you start accepting that behavior, brushing off her lies, excusing her disrespect, downplaying the damage, is the moment you start betraying yourself. Because accountability is the foundation of all growth, and anyone who refuses to look in the mirror and own their mess isn't growing. They're just manipulating their way through life while dragging you through the emotional fallout of their refusal to evolve. And you've felt it, haven't you? The exhaustion of constantly having to explain to someone how they've hurt you, only to be met with defensiveness, blame shifting, or crocodile tears that dry up the moment they get what they want again. You find yourself in a loop where every problem is somehow your fault, where she can cheat and blame your lack of attention, disrespect you and blame your tone, lie to your face and say she was just protecting your feelings. And if you accept this long enough, it starts to erode your self-respect, your clarity, your sanity. Because nothing's more confusing than knowing you've been wronged, but being talked into believing you're the one who needs to apologize. And if you've ever caught her red-handed and she turned it into a story about how you made her feel unsafe, you're not in a relationship. You're in a role, the emotional punching bag, the scapegoat, the fallback guy who takes the hit while she walks away unscathed. And the more you tolerate it, the more she builds a reality where she's always right and you're always wrong. And you start walking on eggshells not because she's dangerous, but because your confidence is so fractured you can't even trust your own judgment anymore. And this is where Stoic principles become your only escape. Not by becoming cold or emotionless, but by choosing to observe without reacting, to see things as they are instead of as you hope they'll become, to judge a person by their patterns, not their potential, to understand that a woman who refuses to say, "I was wrong," is not someone you can build anything with, because how can you build with someone who won't fix what they break? How can you trust someone who refuses to take responsibility for the chaos they cause? And the answer is simple: you can't, and you shouldn't. And the hardest part of all this isn't recognizing the truth. It's accepting that no matter how much you love someone, if they refuse to look inwards, they will always point fingers outward. And one day, that finger will be pointed straight at you in a way that costs you your reputation, your peace, your emotional well-being, or worse. And that's not a risk you can afford to take, especially not when you're trying to build something real, because real men don't operate in fantasy. They move with clarity, and clarity means understanding that you can't change someone who benefits from staying broken. And if she's built her whole identity around being the misunderstood one, the one who everyone hurts, then there's no room for you to ever be seen. Only used, blamed or guilted into staying longer than you should. And this is your wake-up call, because you know exactly who I'm talking about. You've made excuses for her, told yourself she just needed time, told yourself it was trauma or stress or hormones or whatever reason she gave for never apologizing, never reflecting, never growing. And it always comes back to you having to carry the emotional weight of her refusal to take responsibility for her own life. And that ends now because accountability is not optional. It's oxygen for any real relationship, and without it, all you have is manipulation wearing a mask of love. And the moment you realize you deserve honesty without conditions, apologies without pressure, growth without being begged for it, is the moment you take your power back. And the only way to truly reclaim that power is to walk away from any dynamic where you are being gaslit into believing that your pain is irrelevant, your truth is negotiable, and your standards are too high, because they're not. They're necessary. And if someone cannot meet them, not out of perfection but out of effort, integrity, and real growth, then you have to be willing to do the hard thing, leave, not for revenge, not to punish, but because your peace is now a non-negotiable. And from this day forward, you choose to only keep people in your life who can stand in front of you and say, "I got it wrong," because only people who own their mess are worth building a future with. And if she can't do that, then no matter how attractive, how sweet, how passionate she might be, she's not the one. She's just another lesson trying to delay your destiny. Number 3, emotional blackmail. When you're in a relationship where every disagreement ends in guilt trips, breakdowns, threats of abandonment or silence, where her emotions become the weapon and your empathy becomes the leash, you are no longer dealing with partnership but with a performance, one carefully crafted to condition you into compliance, where you are not loved for who you are but manipulated for what you give. And many men don't even realize it's happening because it doesn't come with yelling or violence. It comes with passive-aggressive silence, emotional shutdowns, tears at the exact moment she starts losing the argument, accusations of you being heartless when you try to set a boundary, or suggestions that if you leave, something bad might happen, not to her physically, but to her life, her emotions, her sanity. And now suddenly, her emotional health is your full-time responsibility, and you carry that weight silently because you care. And that care is the exact doorway through which she enters your mind and rewires it to serve her emotions first, and your truth never. And before long, you're not even speaking your mind anymore. You're filtering your every word to avoid the next emotional meltdown. You're walking into conversations already prepared to surrender. You're predicting which version of her you'll get today and adjusting yourself accordingly. And this is where the erosion begins, the slow decay of your confidence, your presence, your voice, because emotional blackmail isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, strategic, and consistent. And the worst part is, it works. Not because you're weak, but because you're loyal, and you mistake loyalty for love, pain for passion, and emotional chaos for depth. And so you stay, not because it feels right, but because you're convinced leaving would make you the bad guy, and that's exactly what she wants. For you to feel trapped, guilty, and tethered to a dynamic that serves only her comfort while costing you everything. And if you've ever had to prove your love by abandoning your values, by sacrificing your peace, by making choices that betray your better judgment, then you were never loved. You were used. And the solution isn't to convince her to change or try harder or explain for the 1,000th time how her behavior hurts you. The solution is to choose silence not as a weapon, but as wisdom, to respond with detachment, not because you don't care, but because you finally realize that caring doesn't mean carrying. And Stoicism teaches you that your job isn't to fix what's broken in someone else, especially when they weaponize that brokenness against you. Your job is to protect your peace and guard your values even when it feels uncomfortable. even when it means walking away from someone who's mastered the art of crying on cue and twisting accountability into an attack. And if she only says, "I love you," when you comply, if she only says, "You're hurting me," when you speak truth, if she only becomes affectionate when you back down, you are not in a relationship, you are in a performance where your pain is her power. And the moment you stop participating, everything starts to fall apart. Not because you're wrong, but because the script no longer works on a man who sees clearly. And that's the shift. That's the moment you decide her emotions are not the compass for your decisions. And you finally realize that a woman who threatens to harm herself, who weaponizes affection, who flips every boundary into an attack, is not someone who needs more understanding. She's someone who needs distance, because you cannot negotiate with someone who only feels safe when you're unsafe, and you cannot build with someone who uses emotional pressure to avoid growth. So let this be the turning point where you finally say no, not out of spite, but out of clarity, where you walk not because you want her to chase you, but because you've chosen a higher standard, one where love is not performance, connection is not currency, and your peace is not up for sale. And if you've made it this far in the message and you know in your gut that this is your life right now, you need to understand something. You are not crazy. You are not cold. You are not wrong for needing space, clarity, or peace. You are simply done being played by emotions that serve only one person. And the moment you decide that, really decide, is the moment the performance ends and your life begins. Number 4. Persistent lying. When a woman lies to you repeatedly, you're not just dealing with dishonesty, you're dealing with a calculated form of disrespect that poisons trust at its root. And most men don't realize the damage until it's too late, because the lies don't always come wrapped in drama. They come in small denials, strategic omissions, convenient half-truths that slowly rewire the way you see her and yourself. And it starts simple. Maybe she lies about where she's been, who she's talking to, or what's really going on with her ex. And the first time you confront it, she cries, apologizes, blames stress or confusion, and you forgive her. Not because you believe her, but because you want to believe the version of her you built in your head. And that's when it starts. Because once she sees that her lie didn't cost her access to you, it becomes her currency. And every time she's caught, she recalibrates the story, blames circumstances, spins it in a way that makes you doubt your instincts. And if you've ever had to go through her phone, retrace conversations, or interrogate what your gut has already told you, you're not in love. You're in surveillance, and it's exhausting, it's humiliating, and it breaks you down piece by piece because you begin to question your own judgment more than you question her actions. And this is exactly what she wants. For you to believe that the problem isn't the lie, it's your reaction to it. And if you let that narrative settle, she'll lie to you again and again with a straight face, while calling you insecure for asking questions, jealous for setting boundaries, paranoid for connecting the dots. And here's the reality. A woman who lies constantly is not just immature, she's dangerous, because every lie she tells is a door open to a deeper betrayal, and you won't see it right away. It'll show up in pieces, in moments that don't quite add up, in a gut feeling you can't shake. And while you're busy explaining away the red flags, she's planning her next move. And this is why Stoic clarity is vital. Because a man who thinks with emotion instead of observation will always be played by a woman who uses deception as her strategy. And if you're still holding on to hope that she'll stop lying, that she'll finally come clean, understand this. People lie for 2 reasons, fear or power. And if she lies to you constantly, it's not because she's afraid of hurting you. It's because she's learned that truth costs her control. And control is what she's really after. So every time she dodges a question, downplays your concerns, tells you you're crazy for bringing something up, she's reinforcing a power dynamic where you're the chaser, the doubter, the emotional janitor, cleaning up her dishonesty while she plays innocent. And the longer you stay, the more she polishes her lies until they sound like love. And that's when it gets dangerous, because you start repeating them to yourself, defending her to your friends, justifying her to your own soul, saying things like, "She's been through a lot," or "She doesn't mean to hurt me," while she continues to stack deception like bricks between you and your own peace. And if this is your life, you have to stop asking whether the lie is big or small. Lies don't come in sizes, they come in patterns, and the pattern always leads to betrayal. So if you want to reclaim your clarity, you have to stop negotiating with dishonesty. Stop hoping for transparency from someone who only tells the truth when it benefits her. And the solution is not to become a detective, it's to become decisive. You don't confront every lie with a fight. You confront it with distance, because if she's lying to you consistently, she's already chosen herself over the relationship. All you're doing now is trying to heal something she keeps stabbing, and you can't find peace with someone who finds comfort in deceiving you. So stop trying to fix her story and start fixing your standards. Stop waiting for her to confess and start walking like the man who doesn't need to beg for honesty. And once you do that, once you decide that your peace is more important than her performance, you'll stop chasing explanations and start building a life where lies can't live. Because a relationship without truth isn't love. It's control wrapped in chemistry, and no amount of attraction is worth trading your peace for permission to trust. Number 5. Always the victim. Every conversation somehow turns into a sob story about how nothing is ever her fault, and everything that goes wrong in her life is someone else's doing, and the moment you try to hold her accountable, she pulls out a tragic tale, a tear-soaked narrative, a twisted rerun of how everyone has hurt her, and now you're just another name in the lineup of villains. And it doesn't even matter what the issue is, whether it's her disrespect, her lies, her emotional games. It all gets buried beneath a story about how misunderstood, unloved, unsupported, or traumatized she is. And at first you feel sympathy because that's what men with hearts do. They care. But slowly you start noticing the pattern. How every disagreement ends with her deflecting. How every conflict leads to a meltdown that redirects the focus back to her feelings, not the facts. And how she never really listens. She just waits to defend her role as the eternal victim. And suddenly, you're apologizing for things she did wrong, taking responsibility for her emotional reactions, downplaying your own pain because hers is always louder, bigger, more dramatic, and you don't even realize it at first. But you start disappearing, shrinking inside conversations, giving up expressing yourself because you already know how it ends, with you feeling like the villain. And this isn't just toxic, it's psychological erosion, because over time you forget what a real conversation even feels like, where both people take ownership, where accountability exists on both sides, where you don't have to babysit someone else's emotional response to the truth. And this is the trap so many men fall into, thinking they're helping her heal when really they're just shielding her from reality and enabling her to stay broken. And what makes this more dangerous than most red flags is that it doesn't look aggressive. It looks sad, it looks helpless, but it's all power, emotional power dressed up as pain. And if you let it go unchecked, you'll wake up 5 years from now realizing you spent half a decade managing someone's pain who never once tried to grow from it. And now your purpose is buried, your energy is drained, your goals have been put on hold to manage someone who won't even admit their part in the chaos. And the truth is, every man who tolerates this behavior eventually loses himself, not because he wasn't strong, but because he thought love meant fixing someone who refuses to fix themselves. And this is where Stoicism becomes your shield, not to be cold or cruel, but to see clearly, to detach from the performance, to stop mistaking emotional manipulation for emotional depth, to understand that a woman who plays victim every time she's called out is not seeking healing. She's seeking power without responsibility, attention without correction. And your role in that cycle is not to be her therapist, her savior, or her emotional sponge. Your role is to observe, decide, and walk, and not because she's broken beyond repair, but because she refuses to do the work and expects you to carry the weight of her denial. And you're not cold for walking away from someone who refuses to grow. You're wise, because a man who truly values himself knows that empathy without boundaries turns into emotional self-destruction. And if she can't say the words, "I was wrong," without turning it into a speech about how her life has always been hard, if she can't sit in discomfort without making it your job to fix it, then it is not a partnership. It's a cycle, one you can end today by choosing to see her actions for what they are, not what she says they are, because every man deserves to be heard, respected, and supported too. And if you constantly find yourself in a position where your pain is minimized and her pain is amplified, where your needs are optional and her drama is constant, then you are not building a life. You're surviving someone else's inability to face themselves, and survival is not your purpose. Leadership is, growth is, peace is. And that starts the moment you stop rescuing people who won't take responsibility and start protecting your time, energy, and legacy like they matter, because they do. And no amount of history, chemistry, or promises will ever justify staying in a relationship where you're not allowed to be human without being punished for it, where your truth is always wrong and her story is always right. So if she's always the victim, you have a choice. Keep playing your part in her drama, or rewrite your life without it, and that choice, that moment, is when everything changes. If you're tired of being drained, blamed, and slowly erased in relationships that only take from you, this is your moment to take it all back. Society doesn't want men to think clearly, lead boldly, or reclaim their peace, because the moment you do, you stop being controllable. That's why the Stoic relationship blueprint isn't just a book. It's a threat to everything that's been keeping you stuck, packed with timeless, Stoic principles that will shift your life immediately. It's now available in audiobook format so you can listen while walking, training, driving. Wherever you are, your mind gets sharper, your standards get higher, and your peace becomes permanent. The link's in the comments. If you're ready to stop tolerating disrespect and start building a life on your terms, comment, "I am the prize," like this video, and subscribe to help more men escape the lies and save themselves years of wasted time.